Welcome to another exciting episode of the Business of Digital podcast, featuring your hosts, Matt Siltala and Dave Rohr. Hey guys, excited to have you join us on another one of these episodes at the Business of Digital podcast. As always, got my trusty sidekick over there, Dave. How's it going, bud?
I am here, digging into way too many pages. I have way too many browsers open.
And I didn't give you much time to get everything open, so I apologize.
Well, yeah. Oh, well. That's my
What we're going to jump into is, it's fascinating because, the website that you referred to, or the article that talks about this, but basically, you guys, what we're going to dive in today is, do you need a site search? That's what the title as of right now is, but I thought that this was a fascinating, just getting into it and having you tell me about what Yext did as far as what they call the $5 million fumble. And I'll let you kind of get into it and kind of like set the stage here. But I thought this was a fascinating topic on how just the simple things that people are missing on their website could lead to big dollars missed.
And I think if you have an e-commerce site, you probably have site search. But a lot of other sites don't. And whether you need it or not is questionable depending on the size of your site. So some people could argue that, we have a 5-page site, so we probably don't need site search, probably. You probably don't need to be on WordPress if you only have a 5-page site too. Yeah. Different show. But what Yext did, someone over there, and I don't think it says the person I was going to give credit, but right after the Super Bowl, they did the $5 million fumble. Only 3% of the top Super Bowl advertisers can answer a key brand question on their website. And what they did is, all of those that advertised in the Super Bowl.
These are big names. So these aren't like mom and pop, no money to put into
Amazon,
their technology, right? Yeah.
That's Audi, what I thought. Avocados, Cheetos, Coca-Cola, Doritos, Heinz, Hyundai, Microsoft, Pepsi.
These are all people that have budgets that they should do better.
Squarespace. Come on, Squarespace. WeatherTech.
Especially, a website. Yeah, anyway, go ahead.
WeatherTech's an e-commerce site. So-ish. Yeah. They're just down the street from me. But what they did is...
e-commerce because they sell those. Yeah. I have them in my truck.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
It was built right just down the road from me.
Oh, that's crazy.
But the methodology was, they did a brand search, and then they just kind of picked at random one of the people also asked questions, which I hadn't actually really thought about from a brand search and trying to, thinking through, does our site answer all of these questions? And that's its own little tidbit is... Yeah,
I don't know that I've ever thought of that either. That's interesting.
Yeah, any of my clients I start working with now, I might do brand searches and see what shows up. And then figure out from a marketing standpoint and just an FAQ, like, do we answer that somewhere? And where is Google pulling those answers from, especially on the brand side of things?
Right.
But all they did was they just, tried to use site search if it had it. And there was a site or two that didn't. And so it, failed. And that was it. And only 3% out of it. And I think it was only like a couple total. Most of them were random answers. I think the only one that worked was the avocados from Mexico was the only one. Oh, and WeatherTech actually doesn't even have a search bar.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which, they don't. As I just clicked on a link, you can select by your model, you can customer service, you have 50 different...
Well, I was going to say, they don't really have a whole lot of different products.
They're the only ones that could come, like, literally drive down the street and throw stuff at me, but...
Yeah, be careful.
I know. They don't have site search.
I think the one that was funny is what are Cheetos really made of? I don't know if I'd want the answer.
Yeah, do you really want to know? But you should be able. That should be somewhere. But I don't want to search the site for 5 different hours and try to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was interesting that these large companies don't have site search, and I've actually come across even mid-size ones, and I think a lot of people might have it only on the blog. And there's been cases where I would push to have people at least make sure that you can search the blog, especially if you're on your WordPress, it's already built in. And I can give you a link to Is this an SEJ? Yeah, so there's an SEJ article about on-site search and SEO, everything you need to know from Jess Schultz. And it's got just like a list of on-site search tools, like Hawk Search, Nextopia, Amazon Web Services has one. I didn't know that. Elasticsearch and a bunch of different solutions.
It's funny they offer a tool, but they failed.
What's that?
Amazon, they offer a tool for it, but they failed at it.
Yeah, but they didn't have it. They couldn't find it. Well, I know. Can you find anything you want on Amazon, really? I almost have to search Google to find it on Amazon, honestly.
That's funny. That's true.
Which kind of, explains it. But I just think that if users can't find what they want on your site, what are they going to do? They're going to leave.
Yeah.
And if you're not capturing it, and the other thing about site search is if you do have site search, do you have Google Analytics set up to track it? Because especially if you're on WordPress, it just does s equals and then the query, and then you can track that in Google Analytics under site search, and each month look and see what you're failing at, or what topics people are trying to find, or what questions they have. I also like that new idea that we just got from the X thing is, if someone does a brand search for us in Google and people also show up, are we answering those on the homepage? Are we answering them on our main product or service page? Do we have an FAQ page? Do we answer it there? Literally just write out the question and answer it.
Yeah. It's interesting. It makes you want to dive deeper into, the avocados from Mexico and see exactly how they went about it to get the touchdown that they got on this little case study.
I'm looking. Too many. Oh, I missed it. Where'd it go? I don't know. I think I can't believe WeatherTech doesn't have one. That's funny. As I just said, if you're an e-commerce site, you probably have one, and they don't.
Well, now everywhere we go, and everyone that listens to this podcast, they're going to be looking at every website that they go to from now on, and they don't have a site search.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of times when I'm doing audits and I notice people are still using the keyword meta tags, I'm like, do you have an internal search tool? And so I've worked with really large Fortune 50 before, and the search tool they used would scrape their own site, and then it's what they used. But if they wanted something to specifically show up internally, so like Amazon or the avocado site or the Cheetos example, if in Cheetos ingredients was something we wanted a specific page to show up for, one of the hacks or optimization things where you could force something to show up no matter what was in the meta keywords tag, you put it there.
Interesting.
And so I don't know if I haven't come across a tool that does it now, but I've used some third-party tools in the past where that was one of the abilities you had for the product team to satisfy them and to fix things and to make sure that certain pages that normally might not show up if they weren't organically internally.
So here's a question for you, because trying to circle back to the kind of people that are listening to this, or or even just the mom and pop or small business that are trying to figure out if they need to do this or do it correctly. But I also think about all the, for example, dentists, orthodontists, HVAC technicians, plumbers, or whatever that we've worked with over the years. And they are the kind of people that are asked these kind of questions, or, how much does a crown cost, or how much, can I get a chipped tooth fixed? There's hundreds of these questions that are always asked with these kind of service industries. What can they do better for something like this? What can they do today that will help them with this?
Talk to your receptionist, talk to the customer facing people and ask them what questions are they. And, if we think back long ago, one of our first shows with Melissa, where we talked about how she got that. And I think you even talked about like a dentist, packet. Like she got this thing, it was like the most frequently asked questions, and they put it together in this packet because I think her son, or maybe it was Paul, was having some sort of oral surgery, and there was all sorts of pre and post and like different things you had to do. Go back and listen to that show. And I don't remember what show it is off the top of my head. It's got Melissa Fash's name in it.
We do have a search function.
We do have a search. So yeah, search for Melissa. And you'll find one of the two. And ask those questions. Ask your customer service. Ask your salespeople. One of the weirdest and most interesting things I did long ago when I was in-house was we did a 1 quarter where it was maybe a month where 30 minutes a week I had to listen to sales calls.
That's interesting.
And they knew that, well, it was internally, they knew that the bosses could at any time do it. So we got access for a little while, and some of us would listen to the people that were calling from lead partners. We would try to listen to ones that were coming from the website or paid, and tried to identify the different sources, and were they asking the same questions? Did they have different questions? What industry or what type of business were they that was calling us? And tried to figure out where we were failing on the website. Like, what questions did they have that our ad did not answer, or that our landing page didn't answer, or that our product page didn't give them the info that they were looking for, so that they were maybe perhaps hesitant in saying yes, or they perhaps, was wasting the time of the salesperson.
That's it.
And figure out, can you find them on your website?
And then what do you think would be the best form of them putting that content together, that content that they need? I can't remember what Melissa's answer was. Was it a series, like a PowerPoint presentation that she found on their website, or
I think they sent her like PDFs, and like they had like just enormous
sell
blog
sheets or
posts.
white papers maybe?
Yeah, they had just like a ton of content on the website, and it was just organized.
Gotcha.
And
so
then
the key then with this is creating the content and organizing whether it's in like a sell sheet type format or white paper, PDFs, things like that.
FAQ.
FAQ.
I think it just depends on your business and what kind of content it is, or what kind of questions you have. But we just recorded one. We were talking about something, and I of course started looking at Mexican food, so now I'm hungry.
You just ate lunch.
I'm closing that window right now. But I think look at those common questions, and find use. There's different tools or services you can use that you can give people tasks with. What was it? Oh, Amazon has one that you can do, and there's another one, user testing type stuff.
Right.
Ask 10 questions and have people find the answer on the website. And you can record their screens. And I bet you if you have site search, a lot of them are going to cheat and use site search, or they'll go to your product listing or category listing or your blog or wherever, and they'll try to poke around. But I think when people get frustrated, they'll go to site search.
Well, it's true. I mean, I admit it. I use it because I'm more lazy.
You're like, all right, I looked there and I looked there and I didn't see it, so screw this. I'm just going to search for it.
Exactly. And what do? 9 times out of 10, I mean, if it's something that I absolutely want, I'll go through the effort. But if I'm just looking and just trying to do research, 9 times out of 10, if I can't do it on a search, or if they don't have one, or if it's not easy, what am I going to do, Dave? Leave, exactly.
Well, and that's the thing. Use those user testing type tools and find those. Start with 10 questions, or two different groups of 10 questions, and see if people are abandoning. How quickly can they find, on average, those 10 people? How often can they answer each of those questions, or can they not? Do you have it on some sort of hidden page that no one can find, except there's this one link on this one page that everyone thinks is clearly obvious, but it's on the bottom of the page in the fine print that no one gets to.
Yeah. Interesting.
Which companies would and will do. It's here's the money back guarantee and the fine print behind it, but you have to go find that hidden page.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you do have site search, look at your Google Analytics. Do you have it set up to track that? Because if you don't, you're missing a lot of data. In the past, for e-commerce sites, when I work with them, I use that for keyword research.
Oh yeah, I've done that before too.
Like if I know they have a site search and there's actually some decent data, and like if there's just a couple searches, it's not.
I was going to say it works better on those sites with,
With,
with a little bit more beefy and robust pages.
well, and you might find that everyone's searching by SKU, and you're optimizing your page titles by the product name.
That's
Or
very
your
true.
internal product number, not the external product. Like Menards and Home Depot and Best Buys all have like their internal SKU, but then there's like the manufacturer number.
I got an example for you
There you go.
of a win. So my dad, it's funny, older people searching online and stuff. They're funny with this kind of stuff, but he's been looking for this pair of pants that a certain set of Wranglers that he loves, and he couldn't find them anywhere. And he goes to the stores and he can't find them anywhere. That's what he showed me. I'm like, I bet you I can find them on Amazon or wherever. I couldn't find them on Amazon. I got close, but I actually just went to Wrangler.com. I looked at the tag that he saved from one of them, typed in the SKU or the number, whatever. I can't remember which one I typed in, but boom, pops up right there. The exact pant that he'd been wanting, looking for forever. Bought him a couple pairs, and he's the happiest camper in the world. So, good job, Wrangler.
So site search basically saved the sale, but it
Yeah.
also got them the sale. I mean, Amazon lost it because you couldn't find it,
Yeah, exactly.
and then Wrangler got that sale directly because you could find it.
Yep. Perfect
So
example.
yeah, and it's not just e-commerce sites. I think if you have more than 5 or 10 pages, and again, if you're on WordPress, it's an easy. And if you're on Squarespace and some of those other ones, it's all built in. You can modify and change your search page, and it comes standard. I think most of those types of CMSs have it. So why not? Even if you just put it in the footer, and if someone clearly can't find what they want, if it's in the footer and kind of hidden, it's like still searching. Here, search the site.
Yeah.
So I don't
Perfect.
see why you wouldn't have it, unless it's even a 5-page site. But ask the questions and see if your significant other, or if your friends that don't know your site or your business, ask them to find the things, and see if they have to go to Google, or see if they throw stuff at you
It's
because
great.
they can't find it.
Yeah, that's a great method. Like I still do stuff like that all the time. I'm always asking Holly, if you were to do something this way, like, just getting that feedback. So, and it's
Because
also
we all
good
search differently. We all use websites differently.
well, yeah, and I have a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old and a 13-year-old, and great feedback in it. They all search differently too. So,
Or
any
just
final thoughts?
just hire Matt's family out really to test your site.
We charge a lot.
They charge in lots of scones and tacos.
Yes, tacos. Any
Tacos
final
and
thoughts on
burritos.
this one, Dave?
What's that?
Any final thoughts on this one on site search?
No, I just thought that was an interesting test, and I thought it was interesting how they used the people also ask, and the fact that just large companies like that, all but
Yeah,
one,
it's mind blowing. Yeah.
failed. And and I know some of those questions aren't easy to answer, but I mean,
And we'll link to
clearly
that,
people are looking for
everyone.
that kind of info and content.
Yeah.
If it's showing up in Google and they picked one, I mean, it'd be more interesting. I think it would also be interesting if they would have, done like 3 and seen what percentage, did they fail across the board, because they'd only picked one. But I think it's still pretty telling that literally out of the, 20 or so, one was able to work.
I'd also love to hear anyone else's feedback that's listening to this, if they have any examples of success or failures with site search. I think it'd be interesting, and just add it in the comments on the post, or tweet us or whatever. Just get that information back to us. That'd be interesting. But as always, we'll link to this Yext thing and anything else that we talked about.
There's like 3 more articles I have, so
We'll give them to you all. So just a quick reminder before we go here, guys. We are on Spotify and iTunes. Make sure that you go to, and Google Play. We're on all of them, but pick one of them. Give us a 5-star rating. You don't even have to, do the whole review if you don't like. But take some time if you like this and like what we've done for you and provided this information. It means a lot to us. So for Dave Rohr with Northside Metrics, I'm Matt
and
Sil-
ping us with any other topic ideas.
there you go. I'm Matt Silder with Avalanche Media, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, guys.
Thanks all.